Hello everyone, my name is Dan, and in this video I wanted to talk about dealing with fear. And it refers to dealing with fear as a business owner, entrepreneur, and freelancer. But I think this is something that might be relevant to other people as well. And for me personally, I use this to deal with fear of taking risks in my business and dealing with anxiety of taking the risk, dealing with uncertainty in my business. So I try to find something that would help me to deal with this. And I found a very interesting article. I think it was on Tim Ferriss' podcast. So it basically has some questions that you need to ask yourself, write the answers. It's very important. The first thing that comes to your mind. And then you can use it as your worst case scenario. And basically it gives you a reason why you why you must take this risk. So I think the best idea would be for me is to share it with you now. So I have created a file in Notion, which by the way, you can download in the description of this video. So let's start first with the questions. So we need to write as many points as possible. It's important not to edit and spend a few minutes on each answer. So the first question, it's not actually a question, but it's something that you need to write it down. Basically is defining your nightmare, like the absolute worst scenario that could happen to you, that you're currently considering, or you're thinking about it, or you cannot sleep because of it. You know what I'm talking about. So what would be the permanent impact of it on a scale of 1 to 10? What doubts, fears do you have about it? And you can write it like the first thing that comes to your mind. Then we have what steps could you take to repair the damage, and how can you actually regain control over the situation in case something like this happens. And then when we finished talking about the bad stuff, we can basically talk about what are the benefits from taking this risk and making this decision. So what are the benefits of the outcome, both temporary and permanent? And what is the most probable positive outcome, both internal and external? So we will discuss the answers right after we finish here. The fourth one, if you were fired from your job today, or you lost your business, the company collapsed, whatever, what would you do to regain the control? So you can imagine this scenario, and you need to write things like action list. How can you get back on track? Then you need to write down what are you putting off out of fear. This means like personal stuff. Like what is actually preventing you from doing what you really want to do? What is it there? Like, is it something related to your comfort zone, to something that's low self-esteem, some imaginary bad scenario that could happen to you that is probably not non-realistic? So you can write it down here. Point 6. What is the financial, physical, and mental cost of postponing the action? So this is interesting. What happens if you decide not to take this risk? What are the downsides of it? So we need to measure the cost of inaction, and where will you be in 1, 5, 10 years from now on if you decide not to take this risk? So this is something very clever. And the seventh one is, what are you waiting for? You need to take action. So let's start with the answers. So I created here just an example of answers. I didn't write them all down. I think the third one I used ChatGPT, so sorry for that. But let's start with first one. So defining your nightmare. I'm scared that I will lose most of my income and won't be able to attract new clients and earn as much as I need to deal with my mortgage and life goals or lifestyle. My income could drop below $3,000. So we're talking about entrepreneur that makes a lot of money, and he has this fear that his income, he will lose most of the income, and he will have to deal with income below $3,000. So the second step would be defining how can we regain control and repair the damage. So the first thing would be drastically decrease my monthly spending to $1,000. So that makes sense. We don't know how much currently he spends, but we can assume that he spends way over $3,000. So he will have to cut off his budget, and this would be very, very hard if he's not prepared. So my advice is to always keep it minimalistic and try to live below your means, so that if something bad happens, you actually prepared for it. But also there's a lot of positive things about living below your means in terms of spirituality, and being much a happy, stress-free person because you depended less. In my opinion, the stuff around us, sometimes it consumes us basically. For me personally, if I have many possessions or items, I think about them, I worry about them, and it doesn't make me a happy person. So less I have is better. However, I'm not excluding the basic things that every person needs, like food and shelter, all that Maslow stuff. So let's see. So drastically decrease my monthly spending to $1,000. Okay, so here we can actually write down the detailed view how we're going to cut off, from where we're going to cut off, from the utilities, from the food, from the transportation, the gas. Here we need to write down like exactly what will be the new budget allocation. And if you're living as a family, so you need to take the whole family into account in your family budget, and not just yourself. Now, the reasons how you can gain the control, he wrote here, I can use my emergency funds, which would provide me with 6 to 12 months of living costs. So if I think like this is the minimum, like you should have at least 6 to 12 months of savings in case of emergency, so you won't be dealing with stress right away, and you will use this time gap to find additional source of income. And while you search for additional income, the savings will be they will provide you with all the necessary stuff that you need at that point, like food, rent, etc. So the minimum is from 6 to 12 months. If you can make more than that, amazing. If you have savings more than 2 years, I think it would be the best to invest some of this of the funds, and because if you don't invest it, it sits in your bank account, and it decreases over time because of the inflation. So I think it should be no more than 2 years of savings. But again, I'm not a financial expert, and it's a very individual thing. If you should consult an expert on that. That's what I'm saying basically. The second thing is spending most of my time trying to find new clients on Upwork, cold email, contacting old clients, learning new skills, or trying new business ideas. So you already should have some list on your mind of things that you would do in such a case. Like if it's Upwork, do you have already an account there? Is it ready? Is it polished? Is it optimized? Cold emailing, if you haven't done cold emails before, you should start practicing now. Contacting old clients, new development skills, like I guess like web development or writing skills, negotiation, all of that, and trying new business ideas. So if you've had some interesting business ideas in your mind and you wrote them down somewhere, this would be the perfect time to execute them. So let's continue. I can try to apply for a remote full-time jobs or find local jobs. Yeah, so that's another good idea. With $2,000 left every month, I should be able to repay the mortgage in less than 3 years, $72,000. Yeah, so the numbers here are imaginary, but we can see that the person would earn less than $3,000, $1,000 would go to cover the living expenses, and $2,000 would go to cover his mortgage. So I guess he already bought an apartment or a house, and he's trying to repay the mortgage as fast as possible. And this is actually a good strategy if he can afford to save basically 2/3 of his salary on that, because mortgage it has interest rates, and it should be paid as fast as possible in most of the cases. Worst case, I can withdraw investing funds. Okay, so he has also investing funds. I think it's investments in stock that would provide me with 10 months worth of living costs. Okay, so he has additional months. So basically he has 12 months already saved as emergency fund, and he has additional 10 months in investing funds. If he's going to withdraw the money from stocks, at that point, we're not sure if it will be a profitable or not position. So this is something that you will try to avoid as much as you can. But basically, he has 2 years of living costs that he can cover while he searches for jobs. And I think 2 years is more than enough for every person to find a job nowadays with the internet and everything. I think it's definitely possible. Even if you're a specialized expert in some very, very specific niche, still 2 years, it's more than enough. All right, so that was the point number 2, and now we're going to the benefits. So as I said before, I use here ChatGPT just to provide answer, because it's very individual. I cannot give you examples because I don't want you to think like me or try to plan the ideas like me. It's very individual, so you should try to answer these questions yourself and be honest with yourself. So this is the third point. Fourth point: if you're fired from your job today, no, that's not the correct. Wait, need to change it. This is actually 5, not 4. Let's change it now. Okay, 5. What are you putting off out of fear? So I just gave some examples. Comfort zone, golden calves. I don't know, your boss pays you a crazy salary, but you have this idea that you thought about, and you really, really want to work on your business and start business, and this big salary stops you from doing so. So this is called like golden calves. Or maybe there's something else. Now 6, what is the financial mental cost of postponing the action? So here you can write it down how you would feel about it in 1, 5, 10 years from now on. But I can already give you a hint, like if you have something and you know you can do it and you're not doing it, you're going to feel regret at some point. Then you can have some bitterness, depression, unhappiness, and lots of regrets. And nobody wants to go there. But if we want to change it, we have to take action. So the 7th point here is take action on all of the things that we said. So that's about it. Dealing with fear, you're thinking about some important decision, and then you have the questions that you ask about making this decision, even if it's relocating to other country, starting your business, quitting your job to start something of your own. All these things, you choose one, and then you go over these questions. You write down the answers to them, and this will be your actually worst case scenario plan. And this will give you some quiet space some, how would I say this? Yeah, it will give you a calm mind, peace of mind. Yeah, exactly. Now, additional things that I wanted to mention is preparing for a worst case. Now, this is something like a bonus. You don't have to do this. Again, this is not my ideas. I took these ideas from people that I listen to on Tim Ferriss podcast. So I'm not taking credit for this, but this is something that helped me dealing with uncertainty and fear of trying new things, taking the risks. So I believe that it can help you as well. So this one is a bit extreme. Preparing for a worst case, you can practice it like from 1 to 14 days a year or whatever. You can pick the number yourself. And you can imagine like what is the worst scenario, like practice almost like being a homeless person. This is something very related to Stoicism, if you're familiar with that niche. So first of all, sleeping in sleeping bag on the living room or even outside in the nature. Like imagine if you don't have a house, something like that. Wearing cheap jeans for all period of time. You can wear the same clothes, like you don't have a washing machine or something like that. Again, it's very extreme because like I don't want to I don't know, meet my friends while I'm stinky or something like that. But yeah, so this is definitely a bonus. I wouldn't recommend this for everyone. Then using couch surfing to live in host home for free. Eating only instant oatmeal or rice with beans. Okay, if you are poor, you don't have a lot of money, so you're trying to eat instant noodles. I'm a big fan of it, even though like it's super unhealthy. So to me, it doesn't sound that bad. Drinking only water, okay, no problem with that. I mean, if it's filtered water, like it's amazing. There are a lot of people in this world that don't have access to clean water, and drinking filtered water it's a privilege. Why would you drink Coca-Cola every day? I don't understand. Access internet only at the libraries. Okay, no problem. And here we have observed that you are happier after this experiment. It becomes easier to take risks and say no. So I'm sure after you go throughout all these things, it will be much easier for you. Another thing, bonus practical idea. Imagine yourself 10 years older. What would be the advice that you give to yourself now today? So this is something interesting. And the last one, what we fear most of doing is usually what we need to do the most. Resolve to do one thing a day that you fear. This is a very good practice, and I'm trying to practice this almost on a daily basis. So, for example, if it's trying to like having a fear of working out or something like that, so you try to do something that you don't like, one thing a day, working out, interacting, going to events, interacting with new people, doing something that you don't really like doing. So this is something that can help you grow, succeed, and build your character. So that's about it. If you watched until now, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. And you can download this file that I reviewed in the description. And if you have any questions or ideas, something interesting that you might add, just let me know in the comments. And that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.